Muy bien. El futuro simple. And remember, just as the future tense is formed in English by adding will before an infinitive, we're going to use the infinitive form as well for our simple future tense in Spanish. But remember that all the time we're going to have those personal endings. The good news is all three conjugations are ending verbs. Ending verbs and ending verbs have exactly the same endings. And even irregular verbs have exactly the same endings. So the only irregular part of the future tense is in the stem, in the infinitive stem itself. See? Muy bien. Remember, you can repeat after me. I'm going to start with yo and the verb trabajar. ¿Sí? Yo trabajaré. Tú trabajarás. Él trabajará. Nosotros trabajaremos. Vosotros trabajaréis. Ellos trabajarán. Muy bien. Let's continue with recoger. Yo recogeré. Tú recogerás. Él recogerá. Nosotros recogeremos. Vosotros recogeréis. Ellos recogerán. Y el verbo escribir. Yo escribiré. Tú escribirás. Él escribirá. Nosotros escribiremos. Vosotros escribiréis. Ellos escribirán. Vamos a mirar a unos ejemplos. Let's take a look at some examples. Trabajaré de voluntario para proteger el medio ambiente. I will volunteer from the ending. You already know the subject is yo. To protect the environment. ¿Recogerán las chicas basura en el parque mañana? Will the girls pick up some trash in the park tomorrow? Y el último, the last one. Escribiremos un artículo sobre la deforestación. We will write an article about deforestation. One thing to notice. Notice that all forms with an asterisk have an accent. The only one that does not have an accent is the form for nosotros. And remember, this is easy for all verbs because all verbs in the future, in the simple future, have exactly the same endings. And now let's take a look at irregular verbs. Well, for irregular verbs, the simple future is formed by adding the same endings as regular verbs to an irregular stem. See? And we can even have 3 different groups to think about this irregularity. So group number 1 would be infinitives that lose a letter. Within this group, we have saber, which is going to end in BR. So kind of the E disappears, right? Next would be haber, same thing. That E drops and ends in BR. Poder, same thing. We are losing that E and the stem is going to end in DR. And the last one is querer. And notice it's going to end in a double R. Let's take a look at the examples down here. We're going to use verbo poder with the irregular stem PODR as an example. And remember, very important to repeat. See? Even if I can't hear you, even if this is not a live class, it's very important to repeat. ¿Preparados? We're going to start with yo, verbo querer. Poder. Yo podré. Tú podrás. Él podrá. Nosotros podremos. Vosotros podréis. Ellos podrán. Muy bien. The second group is a group of verbs that change that E for another letter. So they are really not dropping just the E. They are changing it to a different letter. The first one we have in this group is poner, and instead of ending in ER, is going to end in DR. Salir, instead of ending in IR, is going to end in DR. Tener, instead of ending in DR, in ER, is going to end in DR. And venir, instead of IR, is going to end in DR. And then we have a couple of them that just have an irregular stem without any explanation, right? They do not follow a pattern. Decir, which stem is going to change into dir, y hacer, that's going to change to ar. Let's do both verbo decir and verbo hacer. ¿Sí? ¿Preparados? We're going to start with yo and verbo decir. And then the plural, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, we will change to verbo hacer. ¿Sí? Muy bien. Yo diré. Tú dirás. Él dirá. Verbo hacer. Nosotros haremos. Vosotros haréis. Ellos harán.